Good evening and welcome to Now You're Cooking. My name is Charlie and tonight we're going to be making some school snacks with my friend right here. Before we get started, I just want to remind you that next week we're going to be doing some fried oyster po' boys, a cooking demo with Merrill Island Oysters and Maine Oyster Company. So that's going to be March 31st at 5 p.m. on Facebook. So make sure to join us for that. But I'm going to let my boss here, the chef, introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Avery.
And Avery, what are we making tonight for school snack?
Well, we're going to be making two things. One, Cheez-Its, and the second is fruit dip.
Delicious. Shall we jump right in? Cool. All right. How do we get started with this whole Cheez-It thing?
Well, we're going to grab our ingredients.
Okay.
And first is 8 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese.
The best cheese. Freshly shredded. And are we tossing that in? You want to toss that in first?
Yep.
All right. And chef, as we're going along, if there's any special technique for how to add ingredients that you want to share, let us know so we can do it just like you do.
Okay.
Okay. All right, what do we need next?
4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and this is going to be cubed and room temperature.
Why are we cubing the butter?
So it doesn't all clump together in the mixer.
Perfect. So we've added our shredded cheese, we've added our cubed butter. What are we going to do now that we've added them to the mixer?
Now we are going to mix them together.
Okay. So as these are mixing, is there something else that we need to do to make sure that we're ready to have to be cooking our Cheez-Its or baking our Cheez-Its?
We have to preheat the oven to 375.
So we jumped the gun and already started up our oven, so it's going to be ready to go when we're ready to bake our Cheez-Its. Okay. So what are we looking for with our cheese and our butter right now?
That they mix together.
Yeah. And how do we know when we're ready for the next step?
When you don't see any more like butter clumps and
when it looks like cheesy butter or
yeah.
buttery cheese.
And
Choose
I
your
think
adjective,
we are
noun, order.
Ready.
Okay, what do we need next?
We are going to add flour.
How much flour?
1 cup.
1 cup. And this feels like a spot where you might want to give your viewers some advice on how exactly to add it.
Add it slowly so that
What'll happen if you don't
doesn't
add it slowly? Yeah, it'll go everywhere if we don't add it nice and slow.
Here, I'm going to lift it up.
That's a good idea. How's that? Yeah, sometimes it helps to lift that mixer up so you have more space to fit in that flour. And we'll put it back down.
And if it's dry and pebbly, that's normal.
That's what we're looking for, is
Yeah.
small, dry pebbles. Small, dry pebbles, okay.
And then we're going to slowly add ice water until it,
Ooh.
salt.
Yeah, let's not forget the salt. How much salt do we need?
1 teaspoon.
Okay. Here you go, chef. All right. Wouldn't be Cheez-Its without some good salt.
Yeah. Now we're going to slowly add
We're ready for the water?
Yep, 2 tablespoons of ice water.
Okay, so we got some ice cubes in there to make sure that water is nice and chilly. Do you want the tablespoon measure?
Yep.
There you go. Here, I can hold that for you. It's the opposite of fishing because we don't want the cubes.
It's hard.
Do you want to try the skinnier one, the skinnier end?
Yeah.
There we go.
Now,
Do we keep it at this same speed? And what are we looking for now?
for it to sort of clump back together.
Okay. So tell me if I'm being impatient or not, but do we want to wait and let it turn back into a ball, or do you think it needs more water?
I think it needs more water.
All right. It's good that we're adding it slowly though, because if we added too much water, you can always add more. You can't take it back out again. We're speeding it up. Here we go. What do you think? You want some more water?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about these Cheez-Its?
I don't know.
Like, talk about, like, when you eat them, what do you like about them?
I like the cheesy flavor and that they're crunchy. I think we can try to clump it together.
We can try and clump it
hands.
together with our hands? All right.
Yeah.
And are we going to put it in some, do we have some wrap?
We have
Some plastic wrap? Because what are we going to do once we have it in a clump?
We are going to wrap it in plastic, and then we are going to put it in the fridge.
All right. Do you want me to pour it out here so that you can clump it up, or do you want to clump it up in the bowl? Roll those sleeves up. All right. Any particular strategy you're using, or are you just doing the old snowball method?
What shape are you going for?
We're going for a disc
Aha.
sort of shape.
A snow disc method then.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, after we get it into a disc shape, we'd wrap it in some plastic and we'd
Yep.
put it in the fridge. And how long are we going to want to leave it in the fridge for?
You can do, or it says for an hour, but you can put it in for overnight.
Cool. So I could prep sort of a bunch of this
Yeah.
at a time and then
Bits.
leave it in the fridge and then be ready to bake it at another time, which is kind of actually what we've done, right? So
Yeah.
here's our disc that's ready to go into the fridge. Do we want to wrap that up in some plastic? And we've actually got some pre-made, some batter that you've already made so that we can accelerate the process here. All right. Is that enough plastic, or do you want a little bit more?
I think that's good.
Okay. Voila. All right. To the fridge. Okay. What do you think? You ready to roll this
Yep.
out? And why do we want it to be cold when
So that the cheese and the butter don't melt.
okay. So we've removed our dough from the fridge. Do you want to take it from here? What are we doing next?
Now we are going to roll out the dough.
All right.
And last time I made this, we made it too like thick still. And
It's important for it to be thin.
yeah, so we're gonna try to make it really thin.
So what happens if it's too thick?
What does happen when it's too thick?
What they taste like when they were done baking?
They were sort of like soft, and like not as crunchy.
Yeah, you said that one of the things you like about these is the crunch factor. So if you want that crunch factor, you got to get it really thin.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you want me to do some rolling, or do you want to do some rolling?
You.
Maybe we'll take turns. Okay. What shape am I going for as I roll this out?
Sort of rectangle.
All right. You really got to. It's good. It's a good workout. You got to put your weight behind it. How am I doing?
Good.
Am I thin enough yet?
Nope.
Close?
Nope.
Nowhere close. How about now?
Nope.
Whoa! Whoa! Any tips or techniques that you got for me to improve my technique?
Flip it more.
Flip it more.
Yeah.
So roll it a few times and then flip it to
Yeah.
just increase my flipping frequency. All right. But the actual rolling technique, I'm doing all right? Okay. Whoa. Is there anything that you do with dough that you are making when you roll it out to make it so that it doesn't really stick as much? Because it's not sticking a ton, but occasionally it's grabbing.
You can add a little flour to the rolling pin.
Okay. Do I want to be careful with how much flour I add?
Yeah.
Why do I want to be careful?
It will make the dough dry.
So I want to keep some moisture in the dough. Keep it balanced. So what do you do because this isn't really a rectangle right now. There's a rectangle within it, but do you do anything to sort of shape the sides?
Not really.
You just sort of...
But we will cut the edges off.
Okay. I'm going to try flipping it one more time here. Am I getting close thinness-wise?
Yeah.
You're not just saying that, are you? You gotta be hard on me, chef. We've got standards to meet.
Yeah, I think that's good.
We're in good shape here. Okay. So, what am I doing now? What's this business over here?
We're going to put it onto the cutting board.
Okay. Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we can take the cutting board. Danger. It seemed like a good idea at the time. How'd we do?
Good.
We didn't drop it. All right.
And now we're gonna cut it. We're using a pizza cutter.
What else could you use?
You could use a knife.
So we're going for that rectangle shape.
Hmm.
Okay, we've got a beautiful rectangle now. Now what are we gonna do?
We're gonna cut it into strips.
Okay. And I can see kind of how thick you're making them, but do you have any advice on how wide people should be trying to make them?
Not really. You can make them like small, you can make them wide. Doesn't really matter.
Anything you would do to measure them, like to sort of check? Maybe they look kind of thumb width.
Yeah.
It seems like a good width. All right, we've got strips. Now what are we gonna do?
We're gonna cut them into squares.
Into little squares, great.
And we're gonna put them in onto a baking sheet that has parchment paper.
Are we doing anything before we put them on the baking sheet?
We're going to use a fork
Aha.
and we're going to like stamp the edges.
Do you want me to stamp while you keep slicing?
Yeah.
Okay. And so just a little bit on the edge, not all the way, not too much.
Yeah.
How am I doing?
Good. And you sort of have to work fast so that the dough doesn't
okay.
so the dough doesn't melt.
I'll pick up the pace, chef. Anything else I need to do besides stamping the edges?
You're also going to make a little circle in the middle.
Okay.
We're going to use a chopstick. You can use a toothpick too, but I would rather use a chopstick because it's bigger than the toothpick. And when you're using the toothpick, you sort of have to like widen the hole.
So it's just a bit quicker
Yeah.
and gives you the size hole that you want right away if you use a chopstick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Once you finish that slice, how about I do the fork part and then you get to focus on the chopstick and put them on the baking sheet. Does that work for you?
Yep.
Cool. All right, there you go, my friend. I mean, chef, sorry. Sorry, chef.
Do you want them touching, or is it better?
Whoa.
Whoa.
You don't really want them touching.
Okay. What happens if they're touching? They explode?
They could like combine,
Okay.
I think.
So it's kind of like the cookie effect, right? You don't want to put your cookie dough
Yeah.
too close together on a baking sheet, otherwise you'll have mega cookies, which I guess isn't too much of a problem because who doesn't want more cookie? With your Cheez-Its, do you like to just eat them plain or do you ever eat them with other things?
No, I mostly just eat them by themselves.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to put salt on them, which they already do.
More salt.
Yeah.
So are you more of a salty or sweet person? Or both?
Both.
Do you like salted caramel flavor sort of thing?
Yeah. We may need another baking sheet.
You just get them in and show the finished product.
Yeah, well, so you may, with the amount of batter that we're making, you might want multiple baking sheets. For now, we're just going to do one baking sheet. And then we've actually got the finished product, which, do you think we should sample the finished product that we have over here?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of doing a cooking demo if you don't get to try the food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once we put these in the oven, how long are they going to be in there for?
10 to 15 minutes.
So not too long,
No.
just enough to get them nice and crispy.
Last time we did 13 minutes, and they weren't quite done, so you'd probably want to do the whole 15 minutes.
Might not be a bad idea to do them for 10 minutes and then check them, right? Because it's kind of like that water thing. Like you can always bake them more. You can't unbake them. All right. Let's finish that last row and then we can set these aside and finish them off a little bit later. How's that sound?
Yep.
Because we've still got a pretty important recipe, another important recipe to show people.
Yep.
Do you have any favorite tunes that you like to listen to while you're making Cheez-Its?
Not really.
Just sort of quiet contemplation. Is there anybody you like to make the Cheez-Its with?
I like making them with my mom.
Cool. All right. You want to open that oven for me?
Yeah.
What rack do we want to put them on? Is that middle rack? Is that okay right there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll close that up. And then, am I doing this right? I forget how to use. What's that? You'll keep time on the watch? Okay. We'll check back in on those in a moment. Or in 10 minutes, I should say. All right. So, in 10 to 15 minutes, they're going to look like this.
Yep.
Nice and crispy. Shall we each try one while we're transitioning to our next recipe? Mm-hmm. Okay, what are we making next?
Now we'll be making some fruit dip.
All right. Let's pull this mixer over here. The little blending attachment looks a little bit different on this other one.
Mm-hmm. So they are different. This one is called a whip.
Okay. So, what do we need first for this one?
8 ounces of cream cheese, or 1 block.
There's our cream cheese. Scoop that right in. Okay, what next?
Now we're gonna need 8 ounces of plain Greek yogurt.
All right.
We use plain yogurt because it's not as sweet.
We're gonna add sweetness.
Yeah.
So don't panic, friends at home. This yogurt will be plenty sweet when we're done with it. And we'll be having it with fruit.
Mm-hmm. I like having mine with strawberries and apples.
Nice. Luckily, we've got some of those here. What are we adding next?
Next, we're gonna use a quarter cup of brown sugar. It's pretty good.
Looks good to me. And then?
Now we're gonna put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
You gonna hold it over there and I'll pour it in there for you? There we go. Okay, we've got them all in the stand mixer. Then what do we do?
We're gonna put down the level.
Okay.
And it's over here. We're gonna mix it until it's light and fluffy.
All right. Crank that thing up.
Chunky.
It's chunky. Do you have any like secret techniques that you've learned to help make it nice and smooth? Or anything that you're what are you doing right now?
I'm going to use my spatula and I'm going to wipe off all of the like ingredients from this because it sort of clumps.
Which ingredients making all that clumpiness?
The cream cheese, the brown sugar, and the vanilla. And
yeah, we want
some
to
yogurt.
break up that cream cheese a bit.
Yeah.
We want to turn up the tempo to whip up that cream cheese. Turn it into whipped cheese. All right. All right, here we go, cheese. Prepare to get light and fluffy. All the way up. Take it to 11. Now we're talking. And cheese never stood a chance. While that's getting whisked up, let's take a look at what we're going to be dipping in there.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, your faves are some nice sliced up strawberries.
Yep.
And then we've also got some apples. So there's a couple of ways that we can go about getting these apples ready for dipping. One is we can use an apple slicer
Yep.
to get the apple away from the core and to put it into nice even slices. So I heard these apples were kind of tough, so don't make fun of me if I can't do it. Oh, perfect. That came out nicely. And then,
I think this is good.
how's it looking? Is it getting close?
Yeah.
We can also take a knife and maybe with some help from a supervisor, can do some nice chopping. How am I doing? Are these small enough?
Yeah.
I'm using a Kyocera ceramic knife. And these are great because unlike metal knives, you don't need to sharpen or hone it in the same way. We do sharpen metal knives here, but with this knife, if you ever did need to have it sharpened, you'd send it back to the company and they'd sharpen it for you. The big thing with this is, unlike a metal knife, you're not going to want to, like if you're going after an avocado pit, you're not going to have that flexibility to bend it the same way or take on some harder things. So this is really better for fruits and vegetables. What do you think? Should we scoop some of that out into a little serving bowl? Are we ready to try it? All right.
I think we should take this off.
Good idea. All right. Yum. Okay, are you gonna try yours with strawberry or apple?
I'm gonna try apple first.
Cool. I'll do some apple as well. Is that how you remember it tasting when you practiced?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. I could eat some more of that. What do you think? Should we check on, see how our Cheez-Its are doing in the oven?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming along. What do you think?
List of 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit more time?
Yep.
We're getting there, but we want to leave it in. We're starting to see the corners brown up, but it can get a little bit crispier. Well, Avery, I think I'm not going to need to cook dinner now because I've got just some delicious treats to have to fill me up this evening. Do you have any final thoughts on these snacks?
Not really.
You're going to have a good snack for school tomorrow? Be celebrating Friday with some tasty Cheez-Its and some fruit dip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Avery, thank you for coming in and showing us how to make these tasty treats. Thank you all for joining us here at Now You're Cooking. And remember, next week, after you've had a wonderful week of your own Cheez-Its and fruit dip, you can join us to learn about oyster po' boys. We'll see you same place, same time next week.